everybody, it's Lavender Town, and today I want to talk about the 5 types of professional artists. Partially so that you guys know what your options are, and partially because I think, judging by the reactions a lot of kids get when they say they want to be an artist as a job, there's a lot of people out there that don't even think there's one type of professional artist, so let's just get that all figured out. But first, a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Wix. Wix is a service where you can build your own website for free. It only takes a couple minutes to get a really professional looking website, and it's very customizable. They have a lot of templates, so you're not working from scratch. Check out the link in the description to try it out for yourself, and thank you so much to Wix for continually supporting my channel. The first professional artist I want to talk about is the industry artist. Now, the industry artist is highly envied because, unlike a lot of these jobs, the industry artist has pretty much all the perks of a standard non-art job. They usually have health insurance, they have a boss, a physical workplace. It's all very much like a standard job, and that makes it a lot more comforting to parents and basically anyone who doesn't like the idea of sort of being more free-form and in charge of your own self. So this is a very popular job, especially to people who are in art school and are worried. They're worried about being able to make enough money. If you can just get an industry job, the idea is that you're pretty much set. A lot of people also idealize it because they enjoy media that obviously came out of the industry, like AAA games, or any type of animation, Steven Universe, Adventure Time. All of those had big teams of artists, storyboard revisionists, and animators. And of course, every movie, not just movies that are entirely animated in CG like DreamWorks films and things like that, but also all movies that have CG of any kind, like Marvel movies and stuff, have big teams of artists working on them as well. So there are quite a few industry jobs out there. But you may find that when you meet these industry people, they might be a little more world weary than you may expect because they do have a dream job to a lot of artists. But the truth about working in the industry is that it's not always great. There's a lot of great things about it. They get so many perks that a lot of other artists don't. But the truth is that sometimes working in the industry might be really, really boring, especially when you're first entering it. A lot of people don't think about it, but when you're working as a concept artist, the chance of them giving you the main character design are pretty low, and the chance of them giving you 45 million rocks to design for the background is pretty high. But even with that considered, being an industry artist is still a very good option for a lot of you, and if you want to go for it, I recommend trying to get internships in the companies that you want to eventually work. Next up is the storyteller. These are also an extremely lucky type of artist. Now, while they don't have the structure and the safety net that comes along with being an industry artist, they get to be very much involved in the creation of a story too, but usually it's their own. So these are usually people who work on their own comic or they make their own children's book, and they're able to make that their entire job. Now, usually these people have agents or something representing them, but now in the internet age, you don't even necessarily need one of those. The storyteller basically is able to make their entire living based on their ability to tell a compelling story and then draw art alongside it. Not too long ago, this was one of the most common types of artists, just because there were a lot of old media, print publications still being made. There were a lot of people who are still able to break out in comic books or in children's books and could make that their whole job. But nowadays it's becoming a little different, and there's a lot more focus on releasing things on the internet. You're a lot less beholden to a publisher nowadays, and so these types of artists have become even more of free spirits and even more in responsibility and in charge of their own deadlines. It's a trade-off, but at the end of the day, the storyteller is lucky because they get to really be personally in charge of the message they're putting out. Next up is the freelance artist. Now, these guys are kind of the opposite of the industry artist. They have sort of the inverse pros and cons. The freelancer is usually a pretty clever and pragmatic type. They're usually pretty business-minded, or at least they have to become that way after a little bit of time working on their own. Because basically what a freelancer is a self-directed, self-employed artist. Basically, they make their entire income by doing a variety of different possible things. Selling prints is a great way to make an income. Sometimes they do commissions. This also includes the traveling convention artists that I've talked about in a previous types of artist video. And they also do freelance illustration. That means like big client work illustrations for magazines and things of that nature. Also, websites are becoming a bigger part of the illustration market as well. Freelance artists are the true pajama businessmen of this world. It's not uncommon for them to be in their most comfy wear as they work from home a lot of the time, but they also are, like I said, pretty pragmatic compared to other artists. They have to set their own deadlines, find their own work, and make sure that it's coming in continually enough that they can actually support themselves. The con of freelance is pretty obvious, and it is that there's really no safety net for you. You have to build a reputation as someone who can get things done on time, and you have to get popular enough that people actually seek you out at a high enough rate that you don't have to worry about food and rent every month. But the good part of being a freelancer is that while you are your own boss, you also get to decide sort of the structure of your own life. You can wake up whenever you feel like it. You can wear your pajamas to work. You can do whatever you feel like as long as it doesn't hurt your business. So you're not trapped in a system where you might have to work on something you don't want to. I mean, you might have to do that for many reasons, but in general, you only have to take the projects that you actually feel like doing when you get popular enough to control your own business. And that is a really appealing thing for a lot of people. There's many people who worked in the industry for many years who end up becoming freelancers because they're tired of drawing rocks or working on shows that they don't believe in or whatever. If you want to try out selling your art like a freelancer, I recommend getting your own shop website, which Wix would actually be really great for. If you need someone to actually physically make the prints or whatever, you just want to upload a digital image, I recommend Redbubble. That's usually what I use, and then you'll want to cross-reference that through your own personal shop. Having your own site always looks more professional than these sites that anyone can just upload their products to, so I really do recommend having something a little more customized to you and your own work. It just helps you seem more professional and serious. Speaking of selling things, this is another type of self-employed artist, but they had a more surprising way that their career went. Now, every once in a while, an artist will put out a shirt or a design, and they won't expect it to necessarily do anything crazy, just add a few extra bucks to their monthly income, and then something insane happens and they get entered into the world of fashion. Omocat is a great example of this, basically where an artist becomes a designer, and I don't actually know how deliberate this was, if this was really a surprise or if this is something they were really going for, but I know there are definitely artists out there who accidentally make something really iconic and that people who didn't even know their art before will want to wear, and suddenly designing clothes is the biggest part of this types of artists' career. There's of course the industry version of this as well. I know that one of the kids that I went to school with actually became a designer of patterns for like yoga pants and athletic wear after school, and it's not something you think of right away, but it is a probably pretty fulfilling art job and probably pretty fun. So it's something you should definitely consider if fashion is something that you're interested in at all. Also, it's one of the great unspoken perks of being an artist that you can design your own clothes and have the most unique wardrobe out of anyone. This type of artist tends to have a good eye for design naturally. It seems like a lot of the times when people try to design something cool very intentionally, it falls flat, but with these kind of naturals, they can just sort of sit down and doodle something out and make something really iconic and cool. Honestly, I'm very jealous. These artists are also probably going to get more and more into fashion as they continue their journey into making more and more clothes, and gradually you'll see them getting cooler and more fashionable as time goes on. They also tend to have a really good sense of color, because color is hugely important when you're coming to something actually being printed on fabric. If you don't have a good understanding of contrast and color, it's going to come out all muddy and weird, so these artists tend to be quite good at that. Last but not least is the everything bagel. And by that, I mean the Renaissance artist, the one who's just trying everything. And this is a very common way to start out. The truth is that while it's perfectly doable to become a professional artist and do this as a full-time job, it often takes a little bit of experimentation and struggle before you really figure out what is your forte. A lot of people will end up in different parts of the art world just by what tended to do the best for them. And I am one of those people too. I was trying just about everything in my 3rd and 4th year of art school because I was terrified that I was going to be sent out into the world and that there would be no way for me to make this my job, that I would have to work part-time jobs or some entirely different career just to stay alive and stay afloat. But because I tried lots of different things, I found YouTube and found that that was what was going to work the best for me. I highly recommend being open to being the Renaissance artist, just so that you can really figure out what you thrive in, not just what gets you the most money, but also what you personally like the best, what makes you feel the most fulfilled, what makes you feel the happiest. You want to know all of these things so that you can both stay afloat economically, but also find your true happiest possible solution. And with that, we are done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you again to Wix for sponsoring it. There is a link in the description if you want to make your own website for free. I will see you guys next week, and I hope you have a good weekend, and yeah. Thank you so much to my patrons, including Bambo, Cal Pompon, Cat Pupchino, Dr. Casket, Dustin Williams, Elizabeth Albin, Hanuki, Hope Chilsum, JJ Jade, Blep, Blah 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 Blah, Matthew Kunke, Micah Dactyl, Okamore, Ollie, Rachel Singh, Rosie Warlock, Sergeant Pendulum, The Artsy Moose, Your Boy ST, Zixith, and Zoe Stardust.